this Monday, December 4th. Thanks for joining us on the program. Along for the ride, you guys on the line there at 631-438-1768. That's 631-438-1768. And, of course, on Facebook and YouTube. Drop some likes and some shares. Make sure you guys are all subscribed up to the YouTube channel. And keep pushing the Hockey Talk Show around. That's how we're building the community. A couple of off-ice shenanigans to talk about tonight. It's 7 o'clock here, so I know some games are starting. It is going to be a relatively quick shift for this evening, but we want to get into some of the off-ice shenanigans, like we said, that are going on in the National Hockey League that were just a whole slew of fun. And we'll get you off to the on-ice action that is going on tonight. There are plenty of games in the mix for this evening. Lots of good games, too, which is a little strange for a Monday night. National Hockey League tends to take it easy on a Monday night. Only 4 games, but still some really good action. San Jose and Washington should be amazing as San Jose is up on the East Coast. Islanders and Panthers down from Florida at 7:30. Which gives you a good idea about when the show will be over, of course. Don't like to go into my Isles time too much. And Nashville Bruins and Philly and Calgary. I like the Philly-Calgary game, 9 o'clock puck drop there, because you have a couple of teams, middle of the Packers, that are trying to, get their legs under them. Calgary's got that one great line. Philly as well, not as hot necessarily as the Gaudreau line is the Giroux line, but still some good hockey action should be had over there for this evening. Puck drops there at 9 o'clock, and then we're into a busy week of hockey action. Got some rumors to talk about, including Jacob Trouba. Elliot Friedman is getting in on that action. And what else? We might have one or two other things. Speaking of Philly, are they about to make some changes? Now we're going to get into this time of the season where we're past American Thanksgiving. Yeah, we're looking at who's going to go and make some trades and improve their roster, but we're also looking at who's getting fired. That'll be coming up really soon, which is always nice. You want to always get a good firing in before Christmas. That's what I find. Really warms the soul, handing somebody their pink slip before the holidays come around. But unfortunately, that just tends to be the way it is. When you lose a team, you lose a team. And that may be the case in Philadelphia. So we'll get into all of that and more on this episode of the Hockey Talk Show. But we have to talk about the proposal heard around the world. The proposal that was heard around the world in Nashville. This got set up, and I thought this was incredibly sweet. There was a Nashville fan. She's a gigantic fan of Victor Arvidsson. And her boyfriend, or fiance now, I guess, made an arrangement to have Arvidsson pick up the ring and be the person to actually deliver it to his now fiance, who that's her favorite player, while in the Lexus Lounge, while they were, doing the high fives before the game came about. And it was such a sweet moment. This is the Twitter shot of this one. Morgan is the young lady's name, and Connor, who did the proposing, although it was Victor on getting the assist on this one. Let's bring it up on your screen so you guys can see it. For those of you who are watching on Facebook and YouTube Live, thanks for that as always. Here they are. You can see there they are in the back. Guys coming out. Now here's Arvidsson. Now he comes over. Now it's blocked partially by this balding man's head right here in this region. You can see there's some early hair loss right over here. He's trying to clearly cover it up with some swooping comb overs there, but we'll back it up just a smidge more and you'll be able to see Arvidsson comes over and he delivers the ring. And you can see, now here's, look, you can see, is that Forsberg? You can see some of the guys that are looking back. They know what's happening. You know, they know what's about to come. The young lady is completely unsuspecting. She has no idea. She has no idea what is in the cards for her, but she's about to get to propose to, which is really exciting. Which honestly, as a male who's, you know, in touch with my femininity, obviously I like, you know, When Harry Met Sally. It's a phenomenal movie. That's just the way I was built. It's exciting. You know, it's exciting when anybody is about to get, you know, proposed to. You know, and so there was a little bit of excitement in the air for the Nashville Predators on this evening. So everybody knows the deal. Everybody's in on the gag. You know, they know what's about to happen. So let's take a look. See, there's Forsberg looking back. Here he comes over. He's got the ring on his finger, which was inside his glove. So he hands he takes the glove off, walks over to her, shows her the ring. She's obviously freaking out. I mean, she was going to be freaking out anyway because, you know, here comes her favorite player just walking right over to her. It's Victor Arvidsson. It's amazing. But then she notices what he's got on his finger. She takes it off. You can see she's kind of looking back at her fiance. This is like instant replay here. Looking back like, what is happening? He's like, wants to make sure I'm not proposing to you. This is coming from your Connor, even though the awkward situation is obviously she probably would leave him in a second for Victor. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, nothing against Connor. Sorry, bud. But, you know, Victor's got a lot of things going for him, mainly a big fat contract right about now. Actually, I don't think so, though. He's still on his entry level. Either way, it's better than what Connor's doing. I don't know what Connor does for a living, but unless he's selling $1 million paintings, yeah, he's not pulling it as much as my man Arvidsson. Just not really happening. I like Ryan Johansson in the background here, just taking it in, and PK, as always, as PK tends to do, just totally steals the whole thing away. But there she is looking back, you know, what's going on? He's on the knee. She realizes, starts crying. There's PK. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. I gotta say, look at her crying her eyes out. A big yes and a celebratory hug to wrap the whole thing up. Nicely done. Nicely done, Connor. That was a good one. We'll go through it quickly here with speed now. There you see the guys coming out. See, Forsberg knows what's going on. There's Arvidsson. I got the ring. Bald guy, get out of the way. She pulls it off his finger like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Ryan Johansson smiling in the background there. She's excited. PK with the oh yes. Make it happen, Captain. And there you go. There you go. The Nashville Predators are on their way to get out there on the ice. A nice moment right there. Was that Pekka Rinne too, bringing up the no, it wasn't. I don't know who 39 is for the Preds, but anyway, I thought that was really lovely. By far, one of the more creative proposals I have seen that involved the National Hockey League in the last couple of years. Was that one right there. The guy found a way. Let me tell you something about Connor. Found a way, even though he's not making as much as Victor Arvidsson, found a way to get in there and come up with a more creative angle to the hockey proposal than sitting in the stands and having it up there on the Jumbotron. Like, that's nice. But we've all seen that. It's been done. Been there, done that. This guy figured out a way like, hey, I'm going to get my lady in the back. She's going to get a chance to meet her favorite player. And he's going to have the ring to hand over to her. I thought that was nicely done. By the way, Arvidsson is not on his entry level. 4.2 mil a year. 4.2 mil a year. So that was probably the smallest engagement ring he is ever going to be involved with. He's going to have a much bigger rock when his time comes around. Continuing with the off-ice shenanigans, the New York Rangers, in an effort to promote, what are they promoting here? It was the outdoor game, I believe so. Our good buddy Liz sent me this earlier. Jimmy VC, Brady Shea, and Kevin Hayes took the subway to work like real New Yorkers. 3 Rangers put on their work attire, rode the subway in their jerseys, full gear, to a special outdoor practice that was going on in Central Park. VC said they definitely got a couple of looks, but he thought it was overall awesome. Here are the guys horsing around in this. This took me back to high school instantly. Just instantly. If you ever come across somebody who, lived or worked in the city in New York here, ask them about their subway experiences, because no matter what, like any day, like leaving high school, I thought at any moment one of my friends is going over, going to get hit by a train. There was so much horsing around at all times. We knew at any minute one of us was going to go, and it was just the price you paid to get your other friends to laugh. Like, that was it. Like, we knew, like, all the laughs were fun and games until somebody got hit by a train. And that's just the way we were. You thought, hey, better to be safe than sorry. But no, we were trying to get all our other pals to laugh. So we would continuously just horse around, with that fear of somebody's going to get hurt. And luckily for us, it was only Billy who got killed. Nobody really liked Billy anyway. So we were just thankful that it was somebody that nobody really liked. So not like, some of our other pals. That would have been tragic. But anyway, here are the guys horsing around on the subway platform there. You see VC, Hayes, and Shea just giving the mix. Look at Hayes, not going to take it. A little cross check. Look, little cross check and slash to Shea. Look at that. I'd have took him off the ice for 2 right there if I was on the platform. If Zebra was right there on that platform, that would have definitely been a nice 2-minute. Look, 2-hander and then a little slash to the back. Like, don't jump over me, man. That's the kind of stuff that we did in high school constantly. What's up, Ball Peach? We were always doing that stuff. Always horsing around. Always just risking life and death to get somebody to laugh. Like that time that I took Billy's school bag and just threw it in the 3rd track just to see if he can get it and get back up. He made it that time, but there was other times that he did not, unfortunately. Rest in peace, Bill. Miss you, pal. I like this one, though. This is a better shot of the New York Rangers. Just look at this, walking through Central Park. This is just classic. See if I can make this bigger for you guys. Get that up on the screen here. Look at this walk through Central Park on their way to the outdoor practice. I love this. Is what, look at this. Look at over here in the corner. So this is where you got to pay attention. Look at these people. Like, what the hell is going on? Look at these nut bars. Look at these guys. 7-foot monsters in blue jerseys just roaming down the street. Looking crazy. Looking crazy. There they were. They were in everything, essentially, except for their skates. See some Ranger fans in there getting some shots, getting filmed and everything. Just a normal day in New York City. Just a normal day in New York City. This, by the way, this is New York City. Like, this is totally... Like, this is what it is. Like, you never know... what's going to happen, like what you're going to see. Like, I worked in the city itself. I had some time in the city, and I worked in Times Square. So there was like every day there was just like some mega huge star just like walking right by you. It was just like an everyday occurrence. I mean, I never really saw any hockey players in the city. I'm trying to think. Not really. But I used to work for a radio station that came right out of Times Square, and just every day, just Beck and Rosario Dawson and Nelly Furtado. Whatever happened to Nelly Furtado? God, miss Nelly Furtado. Anyway, yeah, just people just be like, just walking around. You're just like, God, this guy's in my way. Gotta get and just Al Pacino. It's just insanity. Just insanity like that all the time. That's actually not true. Al Pacino was a quick walker. One time I saw Al, he was flying through, for his age, 60, whatever. Hua was just running his rear end off through the crowd. It was unbelievable. But there you go. Some off-ice shenanigans from both the Nashville Predators and the New York Rangers for a Monday show there that I thought you guys would really appreciate. I thought that was pretty cool to see. Again, I know that there are great athletes everywhere in hockey and football and everything else, but to me, the hockey players are the best athletes out of all of them. Football players are awesome. Baseball players are incredible. Basketball players, super nice. But a hockey player, like, I don't know if LeBron would be walking through Central Park, on his way to shoot some hoops. I just don't know. I mean, it's possible. It's possible that Porzingis would do this one day, but to legit do it, like, I could see Porzingis like getting out of a car and walking 20 feet to the basketball court, like, hey, I'm practicing outside. But these guys legit hopped on the subway and rode it down to Central Park. I mean, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. And all to promote the outdoor game, which, let's be honest, desperately needs promotion because they're playing the Sabres. The Sabres are not doing well. I think that's a big mistake in the National Hockey League. I think the NHL thought, Okposo, Kane, Eichel, Lerner, that this matchup was going to be pretty good. By the time they scheduled it, which was probably a year and a half ago, even though they didn't announce then, but when they were scheduling it, they probably thought, well, this matchup actually could be pretty good in New York versus New York, upstate versus downstate, Eichel, all this stuff. But it's going to wind up turning out to be pretty flat because Buffalo just stinks right now. Just having an awful season and really needing to turn it around. They are, if it wasn't for Arizona, the Sabres would be the worst team in the league. I mean, just having an embarrassing year. 16 points on the year. I mean, actually, they are the worst. Arizona has 19 points. I didn't even realize that. Eek. 16 points. I mean, just awful. Just awful fortune for the National Hockey League. It would have been the thing to do. Would have been Rangers Islanders. That would have been the way to go. Rangers Islanders, Rangers Devils even would have been nice. I think Rangers Islanders would have been through the roof. A fantastic classic. But again, much like with the Stanley Cup Finals, the ideal situation would have been Rangers Kings. Why the Kings and the Rangers haven't hooked up on a Winter Classic yet is beyond me. Specifically since, the Rangers have been involved in several outdoor events. By the way, I think in the link description below, we still have the Rangers jerseys and still have the really cool NHL.com deals if you want to go to the Shop NHL store. We've got some savings down there for you, courtesy of the Hockey Talk Show. So go check that out if you're thinking about buying a gift for the hockey fan in your life. But yeah, super unfortunate with the outdoor game. That's just not going to be a big. It's just not going to be a huge ratings winner. Although the Classic tends to do fairly okay in the on the New Year's Day because not a lot of people are paying attention to anything else New Year's Day. So I thought the National Hockey League smartest thing they ever did was commandeer that day. NBA has basketball, NFL has Thanksgiving, NBA has Christmas, I should say. Christmas Day is an NBA day. Thanksgiving is football. 4th of July, baseball tends to be that kind of holiday. National Hockey League really had none until they went and commandeered New Year's Day, which is pretty smart because everybody's recovering that day anyway and hanging out. So good for them for doing that, but nobody's going to be turning out for this game. And you want to have a big, media presence. That's why it's always Chicago and Pittsburgh. That's why we're seeing the same teams over and over again. It's popularity of franchise. That's really been what's dictating these classics. Buffalo was involved in the first one, kind of because just they liked the setting and they needed it, and it was like a tester. But since they got it going, Detroit, Chicago, Philly, the bigger markets really have been the ones that have been paving the way. So if you wanted to put one back in the city, I think New York, LA would have probably been a good way to go if you didn't want to do New York. See, because then the great thing about New York, LA is here are the two biggest markets in the country, and you got them both focused in on this game. You do New York, now it's only this market, which even though it's the number one market, look at the amount of people you're losing when you have the number one and number two markets combined. That's really when you want to be. By the way, every league in the world wants New York and LA to play in the championship. That's basketball, hockey, baseball. Football doesn't even matter. The Super Bowl, everybody's watching anyway. So the Super Bowl, honestly, they could care less. They're not going to see a bigger increase because it's the Rams and the Giants. It'll be the same as if it's Jets. It doesn't even matter. Honestly, it doesn't even. It could be Tennessee. It doesn't matter in football. Football, everybody's going to watch Super Bowl anyway. But in hockey, basketball, baseball, everybody wants New York, LA, or New York, Chicago. You know what I'm saying? They want the bigger markets in there because that's how they're going to see the biggest ratings. Speaking of Philadelphia, and starting to lose the voice, so we're going to cut it really short tonight. Super short show tonight. But that's cool. are they ready to make a change in Philly? And whenever you're looking at a team that's underachieving like the Flyers are, which, by the way, I'd like to know your opinions in the comments. And I know a lot of people watch this on the replay, so let me know then too. I will respond. I always respond to comments, but this is a good one. Is it better, in your opinion, to get off to a slow start or start to dip right now? Like, what's worse? Because the Rangers and Montreal just came out of the gate tripping, just stumbling like a horse, just not being able to get its footing. And since the start of the season, both of those franchises, even though the Rangers are still out of a playoff spot right now, but both of those franchises have really found a way to get back in the mix. Rangers 7-3 in their last 10. They are 1 point out of a wild card position right now. And the Montreal Canadiens, with Carey Price back, have actually played their way into the third spot in the Atlantic Division right now. It's unbelievable how well they've done. With Washington continuing to struggle, Boston, Carolina, the Atlantic is pretty weak outside of Tampa and Toronto. So Montreal has found a way to kind of just sneak in there and get themselves a little spot. Again, their whole entire life exists around Carey Price. So, they're going to live and die by that. But I'm wondering what you think about that, because the Flyers, who were kind of in it for a little while, are 0-5-5 right now in their last 10. And they have just been steadily declining, and they're hitting, a rough spot in basically the worst time, which is kind of the grind of the season. This is the grind now. From now, you get a little Christmas break in there, and then after that, boom, you guys are in, and it's like kind of the dog days of the hockey season. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that one. Is it bad to get a rough start, first 10, 15 games, and then come out of it? Or is it bad to hit a rough 15 patch 15 games into the season? Sam Carchidi, who writes for Philly.com, wonders if the slumping Philadelphia Flyers' upcoming Western Canadian road trip could decide the fate of head coach Dave Hakstol. The Flyers have dropped 10 straight games, said 0-5-5, and looked listless in their last two contests. Flyers GM Ron Hextall has stood by Hakstol, but could feel pressure to replace him if the Flyers fail to snap out of their tailspin. Former NHL coaches Daryl Sutter and Dave Tippett are being mentioned as possible replacements. Honestly, it's the existence of Daryl Sutter, Dave Tippett, Michel Therrien, some of these guys that are still hanging around the Saturn rings of the National Hockey League. Ted Nolan. You got a lot of great. You got a lot, not great, but you got a lot of head coaches that are in assistant coach positions right now, like a Jack Capuano down in Florida. Scott Gordon, again, another guy who's taken a side spot. You got a lot of these guys rotating around, and the more they are, the better they are. Your Daryl Sutters, your Dave Tippetts, especially with a young team, would be great for Philadelphia, I feel. That puts more pressure on the coaches that are in that spot right now. That puts a lot more pressure. Jeff Blashill is another one in Detroit. Coming out of one of their publication, Ansar Khan suggests the Wings, Jeff Blashill, could be feeling the heat. Wings are winless in 7 straight games, including a humiliating 10-1 thrashing at the hands of the Canadiens. We didn't talk about that from over the weekend. Canadiens just abused the Red Wings 10-1. I mean, that game, it was embarrassing to watch that game. And it made me think, when was the last time we saw a 10-goal game for a team? I mean, that's unbelievable. We talk about scoring being up and the appearance that it's up, and we're seeing more 7-3 games, 6-2 games. How about a 10-1 game now? Just unbelievable. But again, embarrassing losses will get you fired. I talked about this quickly on the Hockey Talk Show about my New York Giants. Giants having an awful year. They say McAdoo's not going anywhere. And then they got whooped by San Francisco, who hadn't won a game up until that moment. And I said, and I stand by this, embarrassing losses will get you fired. Nobody likes to see 10-1 losses. Nobody likes to see an 0-10 stretch either. So these guys are definitely on the hot seat. Who goes first in the comments? Let me know. Is it Blashill or is it Hackstall. What's going on, Eddie V? Detroit will have a new coach by mid-December. You want to bet on that? I'm taking wagers. I'm taking wagers on that. I don't know what we can wager. Beer is always good. Cigars, I like betting on cigars. I'm always down to get a free cigar. I don't know if I could take that bet, though. I might be on your side, Eddie V. I might be on your side. I don't like this Detroit team to begin with. Detroit's got to burn it down to the ground and rebuild it up. I don't know if Detroit is on the same trajectory as Philly is, where in the 28, 93, and 17, who's been a great line, but this core that they've put together hasn't really produced since appearing in the finals and losing to Chicago. You know, they haven't really been able to muster anything up together. You know, you want to bet a skate sharpening? That might be the thing. We'll bet skate sharpenings. It's been a little while since I had my skate sharpened. Dying to get on the ice, though. It's really cold out east here. Out on Long Island, we got a couple of outdoor rinks I'm thinking about hitting up. That'd be awesome. It'd be awesome. I could use the skate sharpening, my man. We'll think about that. We'll think about it because I'm on your side with this. I can't really go down the same road with you. But you know, I see Philly as that, you know, they kind of came up and never really hit it. And they might be in a place where they got to kind of retool a little bit and figure it out. And I see, you know, Detroit maybe being on that same sort of trajectory. Like, is Anthony Mantha the real deal? You know, is he going to be the guy that's going to, you know, carry your franchise? Is, you know, Andre Athanasio the guy that's going to kind of get you there? You know, you look at their roster: Justin Abdelkader, David Booth, Darren Helm, Franz Nielsen, who's a great third-line center. Henrik Zetterberg is in the twilight of his career. You just look at these guys and you think to yourself, where's the Crosby, Malkin, Kessel? I will always go back to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is by far the most intense team ever built in the modern game because you have three amazing stars. They found a way to eclipse Chicago's Kane and Taves threat with three of them, Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, and they've got great goaltending. So as far as building teams go, the Pittsburgh Penguins will forever be the gold standard. They will. 2 championships in a row. Let's be honest, they're knocking on the door for a third. I know, you know, positioning wise for the playoffs, it's weird to see them not in that first place spot, but they're 2 points behind Columbus for that first place spot. So they're going to be in the mix. You know, they're going to be there. I look at the stats right now. Anthony Mantha is leading the Red Wings in goals with 12, which is okay for being almost 30 games into the season. Dylan Larkin has 19 assists. He's got 23 points. He leads the team. Mike Green, who's having a phenomenal year, who many think will be traded, has 18 points. He's the third on the team in points. And then you have Justin Abdelkader, who I never found to be a productive guy. I don't think Abdelkader is a first or second line guy, even though they play him there. Zetterberg, again, 4-11, 15 points in 27 games. Not horrible if he's going to be on your third line, but if you're leaning on him anymore. Thomas Tatar, I think, has a whole hell of a lot of skill, but underachieving. So is Gustav Nyquist. He's having an off year. Franz Nielsen's doing okay. Athanasio, 9 points in 17 games, so he's doing all right. Nicholas Kronwall, again, their defense never as good as it was the last couple of years, and they have that wonderful goalie dynamic that keeps people guessing. Who at one point we were guessing who's going to win and be that number one goalie. Now we're guessing who's going to stink it out there in Detroit. But Jimmy Howard and Peter Mrazek continue to be fairly mediocre, with Howard just slightly better with just under 3 goals against average. Eddie V, I'd love to see Simmons in Toronto. You know, one of these teams are going to break up their you know, it's just going to happen unless they play their way out of it like Montreal and the Rangers did One of these teams is going to eventually just kind of break these guys up and sell these guys off. And it's something to think about, especially in Philadelphia, because in Philadelphia, you got Nolan Patrick. Like, you know, at some point, you're going to hand the team over to Nolan. So the old regime kind of has to go. There's always that point that happens. You just got to figure out when that is. And it's going to be a little difficult to decide, you know. So interesting to keep a watch on that. This is really the first time we're talking about this on the Hockey Talk Show, which I'm grateful for that we're getting into it already. But yeah, it's time to start the coach's watch. Who's going to be the first coach to get fired? Right now, you got to put the Flyers and the Red Wings on top of that list. We all knew that, you know, Arizona wasn't going to be that good. Edmonton, the weirdest thing about Edmonton is, you know, even though they only have 24 points and they've been abysmal, everybody, myself included, is just waiting for them to play themselves out of this. Like, they are far too good of a team to actually be where they are in the standings. We're all waiting for them to play themselves out of this. You know, we're not going to be surprised when Connor McDavid gets white hot and just, boom, carries his team right into the last wild card spot. It's entirely possible. So you can't let Todd McClellan go. And by the way, he's a phenomenal coach who has earned, over the course of his career, an off season. You know, he's earned this step back that clearly Edmonton is on. You give these guys the benefit of the doubt. You give them this year, this off year. You give it to them. You're not that good. You deserve to be fired. But you've been so great the last, you know, bit of your career that you've earned yourself, you know, at least the start of next season. Edmonton should not get rid of their coach. Tom McClellan is a good man. And let me be the first to sort of mention this too, because I love him as a coach, and I think he's one of the best. But Joel Quenneville, his time might be up in Chicago. His time might be up in Chicago. Last year's playoff exit. This year, there are 29 points. Nothing horrific. They're 1 point out of a wild card spot, but they're in that log jam with Anaheim, Calgary, Minnesota, Vancouver, and Dallas. And somebody's going to fall out of favor. And how long are Chicago fans going to allow themselves to not be in the Western Conference Finals, or semis at least, in this city? How often? How far does Joe Quenneville have? Because he's won a hell of a lot of cups. He's had a whole bunch of success. But I know that Chicago fans and ownership is not going to be pleased with 2 or 3 years of not making it into the Western Finals, which is honestly where they should be. With Kane and Taves, that's where they should be. Brandon Saad coming in and not having Panarin, I think, is kind of a mistake. A smidge of a downgrade, of course, but they still need to be better. And that's one of those scenarios where coach gets fired. Like, you know, you have all these contracts that you can't move. Sure, the GM screwed up some things and didn't keep Panarin and brought Saad back in. It's weird, and Sharp's back and all this weird stuff. And there's locker room issues there, and there has been in the past. Sure. But that being said, the quick fix for those things is you fire the coach. Like, the coach needs to figure out how to get the most out of them. Not entirely the coach's fault, but coach takes the hit on that. If that's Hackstall or Blashill or, you know, any of those other guys, they are fired because it's Quenneville. He's going to get a little time. How much time does he get? 2 seasons, 3 seasons without a deep playoff run? I don't know. We saw this happen with Pittsburgh. They won in 09, and they didn't get back until 16. In between, there was a lot of messy cleanups. GMs switched out, coaches, a lot of issues there. You know, you got to find that right mix. How long does Chicago go allowing that to happen? It'll be interesting to see. Again, they could be in the playoffs this year and be just fine. But first round exit last year, if they go first round this year, like, if they miss, not good. Like, you gotta kind of keep your eye on Chicago and Joel Quenneville, because he's one of those guys that can be there for life. he could be a lifer. He can leave whenever he wants, unless you hit a rough patch, which it looks like it's possible in Chicago. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it looks like it's possible. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. Rest up a little bit tonight. A lot of action this evening in the National Hockey League, like I said. I like the Islander-Panther game. I think that's an even-matched game. I thought they were good when they played over at the Barclays Center. San Jose, Washington, Goose Eggs, 5 minutes left in the first. Nashville and Boston at 8. I like the Philly and Calgary game at 9. That one could get a little scrappy. We'll see where that goes. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Anything you want to send me, by the way, Facebook or YouTube, shoot over in the comments or drop a message on the page. More than welcome to. Appreciate you guys being along for this very quick shift tonight. Should be back hopefully earlier around 6 for a nice long show tomorrow night.